What's
A
going on?
nasty piece of a taco.
Look, I can talk all about what I not eat today, but I guess y'all can know too because the day was horrible. But what's going on? What's going on? Make sure you guys like and subscribe. The Biz Nashville. We're back here talking everybody else's business because ours is handled and we ain't got nothing else to do. I really don't. I really don't. So today we are talking about Officer Kim Porter. As we all know, this has been, after following last summer, this is like a little summer recap with all the police killings and shootings of black men. And I hope y'all ain't suffering from the PTSD with everything going on right now. But welcome. What's going on, Aisha?
What's going on, Mr. Sid?
A day from hell.
Oh,
So whilst people are getting on, I guess I can acquaint y'all with my miserable day in dealing with miserable people. So, no, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask all y'all. I wonder how you can say this. So, an incident occurred again today. I'm the type of person where I'm be real. I do not like to cuss people out. I do not like to. I'm for real. I don't like. I got an attitude, but I like to stay in my space. Like I like to protect my energy. So if I say I don't want somebody around me, that's what I mean. Like that's what I mean. And when you work for yourself, one of the luxuries that you think that you should have is saying, I don't want this person around me, correct? So I have a business partner, and I already told him I don't want this person around me. I don't know if I was speaking Hebrew or I don't know, but we haven't gotten the message. So, in a flurry of rage, I called the person up and I had to catch myself from really cussing. I'm not messed up with that person, but it's just the whole idea of tell me if I'm wrong. When you say you don't want somebody around you, it is not for interpretation of the other person. It is only for verification that you got me. Not interpretation, verification. Like, do you feel me?
yes, very much so. If I ever made that warning, don't bring that person around me. The people around me know that if I say that, it will probably get physical, so they know not to do that.
I mean,
Now, it may not be that situation with you, but it's a take heed or enter at your own risk type of situation.
and the thing about it is, like, honestly, the issue that I have with this person wasn't even really an issue. You ever just met somebody and you just don't vibe with them, like you just ain't dealing with them. That's all it was. And so, because I didn't want to be in a position where I'm being nasty with somebody because you already know you ain't gonna care for them, I'm just saying, distance yourself. Don't bring this person around me. That's what I meant. That's what I said, and that's it. So when it comes to like where I work in my store, like I'm gonna be real. Don't bring your ass up in there. Like all the way. Don't bring your ass up. Do not call. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. So
But that is your place of business. That's not like a leisurely situation. That's
man,
a place of
let me tell
business.
you what gets really trippy. About another minute. Hey, everybody. About another minute. Like, what gets really trippy is, I, you know, I guess people don't always know who I am, and I don't have to flex who. I just don't flex it. Like, but I don't manage Computer House. I don't say that I work in Computer House. I mean, I own Computer House. So when I tell you something, that's what it is. Like I own where I work. Okay, okay. I just wanted to signify that for everybody that makes.
Okay.
Sometimes you gotta let nigga know. Like that's just really what it is. Don't bring that up here. But anyway, for everybody, I'm good
The
now.
king of
I'm
Computer House has spoken. Hear ye, hear ye.
not smoking. I'm serious. Like the HNIC has spoken. But like, hi everybody. Today we are talking about another. I'm trying to turn the page. We're serious here today. So for everybody watching, we all know what's been going on in the news We've been kind of keeping it tuned with not only with the George Floyd case, but also this one that just seemed to have broken out of nowhere right down the street from where the trial is actually being held for Mr. Derrick Chauvin. Remember, we guys have been kind of bringing you and keeping you update with that for the last couple of weeks. So here we had a young black guy. He was pulled over for a traffic stop and, went left and he ended up being shot. He later died after trying to get away from the police. And it's just a whole shitstorm of stuff that's kind of happened since then. And there's so much to unpack, so we're going to try to do it slowly. Was anything you want to start off with saying with it? Like,
this is sad. It is very sad because this keeps happening. This is like what, the 16th case of this happening. Like 16 people have accidentally, quote unquote, been killed because an officer grabbed the gun instead of the taser. How can you mistake that? Like, how can you mistake that? It's just happening too much. What's going on? Like, what are we gonna do?
I mean, here's the thing with what's so hard about seeing these black people. We need to protect our mental health, and I did a post about this early on my Facebook. I'm so tired of people talking about protect your mental health. Yeah, but y'all need to call on Jesus, because I don't know about y'all, but this is like mentally overwhelming at points. Like even with the George Floyd trial, like I've had to turn that off because I cannot watch that. I cannot just watch videos of this dude being killed. And even more with this video now we have of Dante, right? I can't just sit and stomach it. It's too much. I think in
It's becoming a TV series. It's just different
and
episodes and different characters.
One of my fears is I think by us pressing it to put it out there like this so much, so we don't normalize it, it's becoming like normalized, if that makes sense. It's like every day you see it on TV. How many more killings does it take before you're completely desensitized to the fact of the matter that Americans or America doesn't value like black life? I mean, it's just starting to be a lot.
It's been way past a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do? There is no boundaries. There's no justice being served. Like, there is no convictions, no arrests, there's no charges. Like, you get to do this and say, oops, I did it again type situation. That is a human life. You're not doing the oops, I did it again with white people. You're not doing that with anybody else. For what? A traffic stop? I've seen,
like, it's becoming so prevalent that it takes away from the thing. Like, Rodney King was like, what, 40 years? No, 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, we were looking at Rodney King. And the thing with that is it was such a big gap before the next time that we saw such a high magnitude case on TV. But now with technology and everybody having a camera, it's like we're seeing this way too prevalently. My fear is I don't want young people to start to, this is the way it is. And it's almost, I feel like we're normalizing it by showing it so much. But maybe I'm wrong. We're going to get to that. The first thing we're going to do, though, is I am going to pull up this video so we can kind of watch what happened. I will say for this instance, before I even get all the way to it, I'm going to be very, very honest. After looking at the tape, and this is just for this one instance. I don't. I could see the use of force on this. I cannot see her killing him, but I can see the use of needed force for apprehending him. I guess. How do you feel about that? Did you look at the tape, Aisha?
I did not like. I can't stomach looking at another recording or murder being
Uh-huh.
recorded. Like nothing he did justify him not breathing. I can't keep looking at these footages. It's what is this? Like, why is like you said, we're normalizing it's every day we're watching a video of another black person being killed. Like what
And
at
that
first it was just a story. Now that it's being recorded, nothing still isn't being done. So what do we do? Like that's the question that needs to be answered. What do we do at this point? Because what we have done
is
obviously ain't working.
it's not. So we're gonna jump onto this. I'm trying to pull up this tape. But yeah, everyone, again, we're talking about the whole Dante Wright situation that kind of broke out. Y'all let us know what you think about it. Because my thing about it is like I think it's becoming way too normalized. Like we're seeing it too much. We're not thinking about it. But this video is coming courtesy of NBC. And we're just going to pull it up real quick and we're going to show a little bit of that. So, and Aisha, let me know when you can see. You can see?
Yeah.
Okay. One second. So I'm just fast. And the thing about it is, a lot of the news outlets have not wanted to play that video in its entirety due to the graphic nature. But for everyone who's seen the whole thing, like I guess you kind of saw how they already had him apprehended. That's what I saw. I don't know what they pulled him over for, but they already had him apprehended. Once they were going to put the cuffs on him, he seemed to have jerked away and was trying to make a run for it. I'm gonna be real. I'm keeping it all the way 100. I would have probably had to whip out my gun too, because I don't know where it would have went, if that makes sense. Like he was behind the wheel of a car, and I mean, I ain't trying to chase you down the block because that can get dangerous in its own. But on the flip, like at that point, when he's behind that vehicle, I do believe that there was a need to apprehend him with force. However, one of the things that's come up in this case is, well, one of the things that's been said is, taser or gun, taser or gun. Like, that's where I'm thrown with it. What do you think?
What do you have the taser for if you don't ever use it?
Do you believe, honestly speaking, like I want people to give me their perspective on this, dude. Do you believe that it could have been an accident? Like she could have been reaching for the taser?
No.
You don't believe that at all?
No.
I mean, at that moment though, I do believe that she had a fear. Some more background on it. If we're gonna be, I mean, I want to play devil's advocate for a little bit. Like I do, because sometimes I feel like the psychology of white people is telling them like they're in danger. The big scary black man, which this isn't. But that's
even if you are in danger, you have what a nightstick or whatever they have. You have mace. you have a taser, you have a gun,
Yeah.
you automatically go for the deadliest weapon on you to disarm or to settle someone down of color. You don't do that with white people. That's what I have a problem with. You have many choices on your person and
So
you
let me
choose
ask you
the
a question.
deadliest weapon.
Do you think black people are mad? Do you think we're mad, more so mad at the use of force, or are we more mad at the fact that force isn't being used to apprehend white people? I'm starting.
Both.
I think a
Both.
lot of black people.
Because of the simple fact of you you bully and you manipulate and you weasel your way into fake pulling over an innocent person that you already suspect or expect have did some type of crime in their life
Mhm.
so that you can murder them in some kind of way. You want to make up a story, because most of them do, that
Yeah.
this person was resisting or doing something. If they don't die on the street, they die in the jail cell with the other officers where there are no cameras. So either way, we die. Whether we go to the jail or we on the street like fucking animals. Like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. It's
Now,
ridiculous.
just a little bit backstory on Kim Porter. That's the police officer who's being charged with manslaughter. And manslaughter carries I believe, a minimum in this jurisdiction that they're in Minneapolis, a minimum of 10 years. And people, and again, we talked about this with the whole George Floyd incident. This is when we need to start using the law and start thinking it's not always enough just to call for charges to be brought up against police officers like this. You always got to remember, what are these charges that are being brought up against them, and what does it look like for the average or the general Joe Schmo that's gotten charged? Because manslaughter is not a murder charge. It's not. Period. But just a little background on Miss Kim. Potter, 48, was with the Brooklyn Center Police Department for 26 years, according to the Minneapolis Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. She joined the department in 1995, according to the Star Tribune newspaper in Minneapolis. A county's attorney report states that was not Potter's first time dealing with the aftermath of a police officer's shooting. In 2019, police fatally shot a man who was threatening his grandfather with a knife and hammer. The use of deadly force by police in that incident was ruled lawful, the report states. In accordance with Brooklyn Center Police Department, police's Potter, who's not present at the time of the shooting, gave instructions to the two officers involved in the shooting was to get into different police cars, turn off their body cameras, and not speak to each other. So I guess what we gather from that is the fact that, okay, she is a veteran officer. Like, let's be fair. She's a veteran officer. This has come up in her past before. This isn't the first time that she's been involved in a killing of a suspect. Um, but what I will say is she has been serving for 26 years. I think
So she know where her weapons and are placed on
that
her person.
definitely that. So this ain't no fly by night, I just got this bat suit type of situation. She knew what that shit was when she reached for it. That's real. But I will say she has been an officer for 26 years. So until I could examine her whole record in this incident, I'm almost curious, and I'm going to hold back my full judgment call before I hear her speak. As of this time, though, Kim Potter, she did go ahead and resign. The police department, they were saying, did not ask her to resign. She chose to resign, and at her resignation time, she hasn't issued any type of apology, anything with that. So she was just homegirl was deuces. That's all you getting from her. I believe that was probably like a legal course that she was taking to save her ass because she knows she's going down. Um, but I don't know. I just, this one is a little different from the George Floyd case. And we got to talk.
This one is different, but it's still the same.
Uh-huh.
It's 16 other cases, Oscar Grant being one of them, where the taser was supposed to been grabbed, but they shot him.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Now, it could have easily been a rookie mistake, but it's not. You've been on the job way too long to not know where your weapons are on your person, on your body.
Yeah.
You did that. You've had it in you, and what you thought was going to happen was that you were going to get away with murder like the rest of your comrades who done got away with murder. These officers can kill us at any given time and have the choice of resigning, quitting your job after your job. You killed somebody on your job. You can go home and retire in peace, knowing that you done laid a couple of bodies down, done put a couple of so-called criminals, which are black folks, in jail for to be dealing with systemic
Uh-huh.
racism. Like, there it's a lot of them, and they're going to keep doing it because nothing is going to be done to them. There has been more murders of black people from officers than officers persecuted for and charged with for
Oh, very,
murder.
very much so. Now, catch this though. This news, a lot of this news that we gather, because we get our sources from all over. Rather be World Star, rather be from CNN. We them type of black people. But today we got most of it from CNN. Now, one of the things that in reading this article that I found most disturbing isn't actually what she did, but it was the police policies. A part of that CNN article that came out, it said, in accordance with the Brooklyn City Police Department policing Potter, who was not present at the time of the shooting, they gave instructions to the two officers involved in the shooting, this shooting being the past one that she was involved in, to get into two different police cars, turn off their body cameras, and not speak to each other. So what they're telling me in this right there is the fact that, hey, we're going to try to minimize you guys potentially being able to testify against each other based off of what you said. And also, we're going to minimize all other exposure or fallout from what might have just happened. We need to keep all mouths shut. For me, the body camera is on 24/7. As long as you are in gear, like, I feel like that body camera should be worn. And that's the thing that I think that's a piece of legislation or something that we need to be pushing to get amended, like in our local
I
jurisdiction.
think the body cam should be um I think the footage should be loaded to a national database where
Yeah,
everyone has access to it, and they, even if they try to cut the switch off, they can't. It still records.
and
I think that would slow up a lot of stuff because you can't say, "Oh, this was off," or they have the capability. Like they shouldn't have the capability to turn off their camera.
my thing is, it's almost like your IP address on your phone. That's how the government really can track you. We all know this at this point. It's kind of like we as private citizens know that
I think they need to be babysat by a team.
being monitored, we're being watched. But on the
They
flip,
need the
here are
same
public
thing.
defenders, and you're telling me that they are above the law that I should submit to. I feel like as soon as you enter into the arena of work with something for public services, period, all across, I wouldn't even just limit to police officers. I would say childcare professionals that work for the state, DSF, fire officials, and nurses and doctors. Like, how is it ever legal for an officer to turn off the body cam? And that's one thing that needs to be brought up. And we need to be pushing for legislation changes like in local jurisdictions. And I'm curious to find out what is the one right here in in our city, Nashville. Like, that's crazy to me that we invest so much money for police officers to have body cams, and you're telling me that they're using the body cams to a certain level to their advantage. That's not cool. That's not cool.
Yeah. I
Now,
just feel like we should have access, not the people, but really the people, because we can be vigilant with what the officers are doing, or there should be a hired team of some type of officials that watch and track the officers and make sure that they're on a specific jurisdiction or precinct, just patrolling, not
yeah,
harassing. Whenever they speak, they are being recorded. Let them walk on eggshells for a little bit. Now, if things and deaths and murder still happen, if they have this type of equipment, then we really know what it really is. Like, y'all really just don't give a shit about
that's
black people.
and that's the thing. Like, I feel like the cameras, it's not for so much the protection. Cameras don't lie. So it's not for the protection of the citizen or the officer. It's to tell the story. Because
With no
with no
interference.
BS. Because in situations like this, I mean, for the dead person for so long in history, like, what if a George Floyd had happened in the 1950s, in the 1960s, in the 1970s? Like, the reoccurring theme was it was the black man. Here we have an opportunity to use technology to not only secure the truth, but protect everybody involved. And I don't feel like those cameras should ever be at the discretion of the officer to turn off. I didn't know this until I just read this. Um
It
that
most like what why I didn't why would you create something like that for the officers to turn off when they can easily turn them off? Like, that
exactly
was stupid. Why
exactly.
would you even make them have body cams if they're able to just turn them off whenever they choose to?
Now, also coming out about this is we all know now, since we've been acquainted with so many pictures that have been shown of this guy, Dante Wright, on Facebook, on social media. He was a father. He was a father. I think was a 1 year old, and they identified him as, he basically was pulled over, and after he was pulled over in the Minneapolis suburb Sunday, leading the clashes between protesters and law enforcement on Monday. The police chief for the city of Brooklyn Center said that the unidentified officer intended to use her taser, but instead grabbed her gun and shot Wright. So that was the first official report of what happened that we saw came out. Like, they ruled it as an accident. For me, I didn't know right away if I feel like with it coming out so fast, I was thrown off. Like, I was expecting her to go to court, lie, get with her lawyers and everything. I don't know if that was a way to spearhead or get in front of it before it looked bad on her part and the city's part, or maybe she has remorse. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. To be devil's advocate, we don't know yet.
It's more so we I don't think we really don't know. And I'm at a point where I really don't care. It's fucking murder. Wherever you see it, however you slice it, whatever way you meant. Your mistake cost somebody their life.
Yeah.
That's murder. If I made a mistake and took somebody out of here, I'm getting charged with murder. So why isn't that she can, because she's an officer, you were doing your job, you don't get charged with murder. If I go to T-Mobile and I kill somebody, even though I was doing my job and answering them calls, I'm still going to jail for murder.
So with that being said, we've gotten a lot of we'll get to that. Some of what our leaders and everyone have been saying about it. But aside from that, the mayor told CNN Tuesday that Parler submitted a letter of resignation. In the letter to Elliott, acting city manager Reggie Edwards in the Gannon Porter wrote that she loved every minute of being a police officer and serving the community to the best of her ability. Elliott said Parler decided on her own to resign. We did not ask her to resign, he said. That was a decision she made. At a news conference by Elliott, people in the room voiced concerns that Parler resigned and was not fired. The mayor said that he has not accepted her resignation and that his office is continuing to review the matter. We're doing our internal process to make sure that we are being accountable to the steps that we need to take, Elliott told reporters. Potter is still entitled to benefits following her resignation, though it is not clear that those benefits are what those benefits are, Edwards said Wednesday. So homegirl's still getting a check. Like, let's be clear. Like, she didn't get fired. She's still getting a check. And hell, if she still got fired, homegirl could still collect that good old Biden unemployment with a little few dollars stacked on top, if we want to be real. I think in instances like this, another thing that we need, legislation needs to be moved to say that you don't get shit. Like, you going home and you going to be stressed the same way that these families are stressed over the loss of their loved ones. Like, I don't think it's going to hit home until
or the same way that Black people are charged with murder. They're stressed. They don't get paid. They don't get the right to work that last little check that week to get that little check. They don't get any of that benefit that she does or that they do.
And what's crazy about it is I feel like when the officers have so much backing and support around them, not saying that they should be criminalized before they've officially been found guilty, but they should be moved into a place, in everyone's mental where they are as much a suspect as the suspect that was pulled over. Like, they need to feel the heat too. And it's so sad when you see officers who are backing people like this, and it's based off of nothing besides the fact that, oh, well, they're an officer. Like, come on. And this dude was a father. I mean, my thing is, like, I think there needs to be laws that are put into effect that it makes it hard, not for police officers to do their job, but it makes it hard for them to get away with not doing their job. And I think that's really like a lot of the cry that we hear from people, honestly.
Okay, with that being said, it ain't about the officers doing their job, because some of the murders been considered them doing their job.
Yeah.
So it's got to be some type of solution.
Now let me ask you, in situations like this where there is pushback from the suspect, I believe that she's going to get to court, and it's going to be hard to disprove that her use of force was not justified. And I'm going to say this, like, this is where I feel like we as a community, we kind of do need to start taking some responsibility. Like, one of the things that we need to be honest with ourselves about is if we break in the law, we are fucking breaking the law. Like, that's what it is. So when we're pulled over, like, I'm being real. As a Black man, I want to be treated and I want to be respected the same way everybody is. But if you are caught breaking the law, there has to be an expectation of understanding from you that you're not just going to walk away, and you need to realize, I mean, I think we as a community need to realize that you're probably going to be treated worse. Like, fighting back at that point for me, like the way he did, like, as soon as I saw the video, I already knew, like, oh, yeah, it looks like she got a good play for to get off on this. And aside from that, like, notice, like, I don't know if you guys saw that video, but right after she had shot him, what was crazy about it was, like, the other officers, they just kind of waned away. It was like, ugh, like, I don't even want to be involved with it. Did you kind of catch that when you watched that video? It's like, they were like, oh, hell no. Like,
I'm glad it wasn't me, because our police department already got one person on trial. But what I want to say something to what you said, like, even if we are resisting or complying, we're still dying.
Yeah.
Even if we are not even instantly involved, we're still dying.
Something.
What's his name? Botham John.
Yeah. And what's
Like Breonna Taylor, like it's too many of we're dying. Like it
who was
doesn't
the one
matter
in
if we're
Charleston?
resisting or not.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong that's watching. I believe the guy in Charleston was Walter Scott. He was the one who ran away from the police. I'm gonna be real. Black people need to understand. I don't understand why some of us ain't getting the memo that if you pulled over, it's going to probably be more severe. Like, are we feeling each other when I'm saying this? Like, it's probably going to be more severe. So at this point, you have to ask yourself, am I going out like a G with a fight, or do I want to try to go home? I mean, like,
And see, that's the thing that you can't even ask yourself now, because I'm pretty sure Sandra Bland with her fictitious broken tail light thought she was gonna get a ticket and go home.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Now,
Like in these instances, like I still tense up. I'm legit all the way around, full coverage, license, and everything, and I tense up when the police get behind me because
I'm gonna
I
be
can
real.
easily be one of them.
I'm just that type of Negro still. When the police get behind me, I just move to the other lane. I'm like, not today. Not.
I don't move. I don't move. I continue driving on, but there's a little bit of they could pick today to fuck with you. Like,
I feel. I'm gonna be real. Like, I think most Black people over the age of 20 can identify with the experience of being stopped or targeted by the police. I, I have. And I remember it was over similar to what happened with the lieutenant who was stopped by the police officer in, I believe, Virginia. We can try to touch on that on the end note. But when he was stopped, it was over tinted windows and the fact that you couldn't see his tags. The same thing happened to me, only my tags were visible where they should have been. Everything was legit. And I remember I was stopped out in Gallatin, Tennessee. It was like 1 o'clock at night. And when the police pulled me over, to me, I was so shocked at first that why I was being pulled over. When I asked him, he told me that my tints were illegal. It is 1 o'clock at night. And so the first thing I looked up and said, you can tell my tint this late at night in pitch black on this dark road. And I remember the officer, he just looked at me real strange and he went to the car and he ran my license. I mean, I feel like I had every reason to get buck, get nasty, get stupid because I was the victim of racism at that point. But I'm gonna be real, like I want to go home. Like I want to live. I don't know how to. I don't know if the fight is worth it. If that makes sense. Like, do you believe that every one of these instances, and that's my thing. I'm like, I feel like we're so built on fighting these battles with racism, but we really are de-energizing ourselves from fighting the war. Like, I'm so tired of hearing about this type of racism. Like, there is so many other.
when will it stop? That's the thing. Like, there's no solid answer to this situation. Like, you can comply or you cannot. And for me to say this, for young Black men who may have some type of arrest going on, some type of little illegal activity, maybe some marijuana or warrant or something, that does not cause you your death. That does not give you your death certificate when you get pulled over by the police. Like, who made them the judge, the jury, and the executioner? You doing too much. You're doing far too much. Write your ticket or take him to jail. Why do you have to get physical and abuse the person that you are putting under arrest? Like, if you want to, like, to be totally honest, I mean, I'm not saying that this is how it will be, but the motherfucker might do something again. Take him to jail, make him pay, let him go, and he might go get in trouble again, and there go more money going to y'all.
I mean, I I'm confused to why we are still having this conversation. Like one of the people that kind of baffle me, and especially when I hear older politicians talking about issues like this, because it's so baffling to me when people are in their 60s, 70s, and they've been working their careers towards, I quote, ending what we've been seeing, and it's like they're getting nowhere. One person that kind of came out and we've been seeing throughout this, it's Auntie Maxine. Um, and she did make a statement and she kind of tweeted out too. Um, Her statement was hard to believe Brooklyn Center, Minnesota Police Chief Tim Cannon's statement that the officer who fatally shot Dante Wright meant to fire a stun gun and not a handgun. This is the part that I'm hung up on. Like, first off, I got me a taser. Like, we all know how a taser feel. A taser, you hit it and quit it. It's real life. You know what a gun feel like, and you know what a taser feel like. A taser is about to step up and wait from a water gun. That damn real gun, though, you know what it feel like. I mean, like, somebody tell me I'm not crazy about this. This is the part that I'm most hung up on. Like, I personally feel like unless she was completely thrown off or she needed a piece of hard candy and her blood sugar was low, like she knew what she was doing, like what you were saying. Like, it's hard to believe that it was a complete accident. I feel like there is more to her. You can't be an officer for 26 years and suddenly you get your left and your right confused.
Right. Most definitely. Like, I don't give a damn what nobody say. You grabbed your gun because that's what you're used to. This the only one that led to a death.
And I mean, but here's my thing. When I hear people like Maxine Waters and stuff saying stuff like this, recently, and I'm going to share that video because we need to talk about this probably tomorrow. Is one thing to come down on white Americans and white officers when they're doing stuff like this, but I need to see that same kind of mojo when stuff like this is affecting our community and it's being presented by our community. Black on black crime. These are real issues that we face every day. And it's not to draw a comparison, but it's to point out that, I think our voices are more powerful when we are calling a spade across the card game instead of, just looking at the opponent's hand or our hand to see what's more advantageous to our causes. Like, I feel like I want to hear a lot more of our officials represent our cases, but at the same time, they're in our community more frequently, kind of talking about the issues of police brutality, of crime in our community. Like, let's talk about some of these things that are actually causing the crime in our community. I'm gonna be real. Dante Wright was a young guy. Like, he's a young guy. Like, let's talk, and we haven't talked about it. I'm not going to talk about it. We're not ever going to talk about like his rap sheet. But let's be real. When we see a lot of young African Americans that have rap sheets, they aren't stealing because they enjoy the thrill of the chase. Like a lot of them, and they steal as a means of survival. They steal, they present it with these gangs, and they're initiating these gangs and they take part. And it's not because they want to, or I just feel like being a crip, or I just feel like being a blood. It's a matter of survival for their life, and this is the world that they're in. And so when I see leaders who are constantly only talking about hot topic issues instead of let's trying to address really what's going on in our communities, like, it bothers me. I feel like the biggest problem that we see in our communities when it comes to policing is lack of representation. We need more black officers. We need to remove the stigma of black people becoming police
They are
officers.
just as worse.
But don't you think it would be better if a black man was to stop you? Am I crazy? Does anybody think this? Like, I think.
And I will tell you two different experiences. I was pulled over by a black officer,
Mhm.
and it was for speeding, and he decided to search me, which was illegal,
Oh
and
wow.
put me in the back seat of his car while playing some motherfucking Isley Brothers on his radio while writing me a ticket. So
Was he
I had
listening
to
to the first?
entertain that shit just to get out of the ticket and go home or go where I was going to, which
Yeah.
I ended up going back home because I didn't feel like going anywhere after that. Then another instance, I had ran into this guy and at a store, did not know that he was an officer. One day I invited him over to my home. He come over there in his uniform and I seen him and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know you was an officer. And he said, yeah, I thought you knew that or whatever with whatever he was saying. And so he asked me a question. He said it was a bunch of young guys out there. They all took off when they see me coming. I wonder why did they do that? You think I should go out there and ask him? I said, why would you harass them? They ain't bothering you. They ain't doing nothing.
Exactly.
So they just as worse.
And so, I mean, I feel like on some grounds, we need as African Americans to somehow start policing our own areas because this integrating policing is not working. I mean, like, let's just be honest. Like, white people have some type of fear of us. Like, it's 2021.
What type?
It's 2021. Like, we got to admit this. Like,
Everybody has a fear of black people all around the world because deep down inside they know who we are. They just don't want us to know who we are. They know who we are. They don't want us to know. And the way that they keep us down and keep us from reproducing is to come up with all these things that will eradicate us. If it doesn't go quickly, they will invent something like a virus to knock us out, or birth control, which will give us cancer and kill us,
yeah.
things like that. Like they want us gone. They want y'all gone because they don't want black men to have the black woman's back, and then we're left to sit here and deal with them and they bullshit they want to give us. No, I hate to say, but an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. We need to start gunslinging these motherfuckers like at your home in your bed when you're
I
not at work.
mean, okay, okay. And with that being said, are we coming towards the end of the night? I want to ask this real question. I feel like in trends like this, the first thing that we as African Americans do is we run to the law. We run to the law to seek an answer or validation that what happened to us was wrong. But by running to a law, we're running to the same failed system. This is why I want to be real. Do you think that the answer is in the legal system? Or do you think we need to figure out, and I'm not going to say shoot somebody, kill somebody, but do you?
We need to make more noise than the noise we've been making, and maybe a little few drops of blood to get the point across to sit down at a table to get an understanding about something. We need to have some type of we need to make some noise, and we need to make it loud.
I
And
mean,
if it causes
I
a few
know.
blood
I'm
spots,
gonna
a
be
blood
real. I'm gonna be
splash with
real.
blood, then that's what it needs to be. Because we need to have somebody that stand up for us. We need a leader that's going to lead, and we're going to need
I don't even
front
think it's so
linemen.
much a leader. I think we need people that are going to
We need.
lead.
I'm not talking about a leader like Martin Luther King type of leader. We need somebody that's gonna stand up front and speak for everyone.
Yeah.
Now we all need to get together because it's not just blacks; it's Hispanics too. Y'all knocking them off too. You're knocking anybody that's not of fair skin off. We're being harassed. We're being killed for no reason because you suspect something of us. We gotta die. Like you don't do
I'm gonna
that
be
to a
real.
white
Like,
woman.
I think long gone are those days where we can casually protest like Martin Luther King. And people
We
often
can't.
forget that. People forget that. Like, we're not in that time frame where it's, like, the whole civil rights movement was not one was excuse me, Martin Luther King. I have a dream and giving speeches. There were brothers like Malcolm X, there were brothers like Marcus Garvey advocating for a different cause. I mean, the end result was they wanted rights, they wanted to be respected in their blackness. But I think somewhere along the line, we all just said that Martin Luther King is the granddaddy of civil rights, and this is who we need to follow. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real.
Because he sat there and got the most ass beatings and the most dog bites
I mean,
and
and I'm not trying to be
most
disrespectful.
sprays with water and jail time. And then he got murked for his thanks. No,
And I'm
no,
be real.
no.
Like it's no shade to Martin Luther King, like no disrespect, because we know what he's done for us as a people and for the nation and the world. But he is not the embodiment for procedures to fighting for the civil rights. Like, I'm gonna be real.
The baton has to be passed down. Who has it passed to? The baton has not been passed to anybody. It dropped on the ground and fell in the sewer. No one has picked it up because
I got a baton in my hand. I'm gonna tell you this. Ain't nobody gonna kick the ass.
Look, I think there should be a rise of the Black Panther Party again whenever somebody, and it needs to be in every city around, where if any black person or any person minority get pulled over, they stand there and make sure that the police officers are doing their job. With a lot of scary looking black people around you with assault rifles making sure you do your job, they ain't there to kill you. They may look scary, but they making sure you do your job. That's what we need around here again. Like we need some get right. There's nobody policing the police officers, and they're getting away with killing us like it's nothing. Like they don't get any justice. They don't get a slap on the wrist. They don't get probation. They don't get anything. And then guess what? Another 3 killings happened because this one officer got out.
We have the leadership that we need. But I feel like we as African Americans are not wanting to follow those types of leaders. And we are encouraged through media, through society right now to be peaceful, march. When you get on TV, call for the advocacy of no violence. I'm going to tell you like this. I'm going to tell you, like, I cannot see myself in somebody gunning my child, my family member down and saying, please peacefully protest. I'm going to be real. Like, I think we need to begin to have the conversation with our kids and our family on what we're going to say in the event of that. I'm gonna be real. I don't want anybody to go on TV and say march peacefully for me. I've been at peace my whole life. So if I got killed, it wasn't because I was being anything but peaceful. It's because somebody came and, like I said from the very beginning of this episode, disturbed my peace. I'm trying to protect my peace. When stuff like that happens, you gotta let shit loose. You got to cut up. You got to make noise. You got to break stuff up. Even when you read the Bible. And this is what I'm crazy. Yes.
See, this is the thing that I feel. Look, I, Aisha, am saying that I'm not going to, Lord forbid that happens to my loved one, especially my children. But I'm going to shed a tear and I'm losing it. I'm not going to kill you as an officer. I'm going to kill you as a father. I'm going to find you at your home and fuck you out.
I'm saying, honestly.
I'm saying all of that. I'm saying all of that because you're hiding behind your badge. You're hiding behind your occupation and you get an excuse for murdering my child. Well, I don't need one for taking you out in front of your kids because it's the same thing.
I think
because you get to quit your job and live with your family, but I have to sit here and cry every day that my family member is gone. So you get to quit your job. They gave you an excuse to murder somebody, and you get to go home and have Christmas holidays with all your loved ones. And
that's the thing where this peaceful marching, like especially right now, we've been seeing them peacefully march or try to coexist under this ban, just with the city of Minnesota, with the whole George Floyd thing. This whole process of this man getting justice has been over, what, a year now? We're moving into a year of this man and his family fighting to get justice for what happened to him at the hands of that officer. What's crazy about it now is literally in the same area, less than, a 15, 20-minute ride down the road, another instance occurs. So how long are we as people, like, let's forget what they're thinking in their head. Like, how long are we going to pretend that we Martin Luther King and we going to be sitting here marching and just simply trying to coexist in this world? When I read the Bible, I'm be real. Like, there's a time when Jesus calls for peace. When we read like stories about Moses, I'm going to come and ask you 10 times, let my people go. After those times, God began to send some plagues their way and started fucking up their life. That's what happened. Like, that's the Bible. When we look at the story of Jericho, like with Joshua, who walked around the city. Yeah, he walked around peacefully. But when the motherfucking walls dropped, God commanded him to slaughter everybody in the city. Yeah, David had to fight Goliath. And we all remember the story where he hit him with the cute little 3 rocks. But when he had a nigga on the ground, he sliced his head off. Like, you got to understand that when you're fighting your battles, there comes a point where there's no more peace. They've chosen a side. And if people aren't going to recognize the peace that your God supplies and where you try to be merciful, you're going to have to pick up a sword. And I'm not going to do it on YouTube. Like, I'm not advocating for killing nobody, for attacking anybody, but I'm be real. Like, the criminal justice,
I the fuck am. When it comes to my offspring, I don't give a damn what you do to Jesse Jackson. When it comes to my offspring, hey, I'm gonna stand on that.
System as a whole, though, is not working for Black people, and us sitting up in these courts is more of an injustice to us than it is to
these. It's a slap in the face.
It really is. Like,
it's a slap in the face. And the fucked up thing is, you award us with measly bucks. After you done somebody's life.
I'm gonna be real. You giving me $100 million, $200 million for killing my loved one. That's insulting to me. The same way we didn't like a price being put on our heads because of when we were enslaved and them buying and selling us. Do not put a price on my dead loved one's body, because that is the same damn thing. And to be very, very honest about it, like, I'm gonna be real. It's insulting for me to take them. I would rather, if you gave me $100 million, offer somebody $10 million to go handle the business that I need handled with Derrick Chauvin and some of these people that killed my loved ones. I'm just being real. That's just me talking, and I'm not trying to incite violence. But I'm gonna be real. Like, something needs to be done and something needs to be said, and it ain't in the criminal justice system anymore. I'm gonna be real. My faith is all but gone when it comes to the criminal justice department in this country until we're recognized, until we can even begin to have the conversations of equality. Like, fuck it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to march anymore. I don't want to be around no Black people who talk about marching and doing this type of crap. Like, if my loved one died, do not assemble. If I die, do not assemble no march. Do not call for no fast. None of that. I don't want no tithes, no offering, nothing. I'm telling y'all this right now. This is how I feel. Like, if y'all ain't gonna go bust some heads, just stay in your damn house. Like, you're I mean, that's what I think that's what I'm at. Like, it's too many.
It's way past marching and holding up signs and singing songs. We're getting the same thing Martin Luther King did. They're getting dogs out. They hitting us with rubber bullets. They macing us. They shooting us. Then you got the people that's on the police side helping them shoot at us. Like, it's crazy.
And what's even crazier about it is, like, when you consider that Martin Luther King was 60, 70 years ago doing this stuff, and we're still doing the same thing, and we're advocating.
It did not work then.
I'm gonna be real. For lack of knowledge, the people perish. Some of us need to wake the hell up and understand that we got to change the way we go about stuff. And we can't keep advocating under the same system. We can't even keep electing the status of leaders. I'm just be real. We got what's going on, John Wiggins? We got a viewer who's saying, if you were dead, you won't need the money. But I understand what you're saying. My thing is, like, yeah, like, I think most people understand like $100 million for your relative. That ain't bringing back 100 million memories. That's not bringing back 100 living cells that they gonna be living with you again. Like it's money, and really and truly, if you're willing to accept that money, you're willing to accept the abuse that that money gave too. Like there's no making up for that for me. Like
It is like a human life is supposed to be priceless, but a dog's life is worth more than a black person's.
And I'm gonna be real. I'm so sick and tired of these people in the dogs. Like, I bet you if I could put half of the stuff and scenarios that black men have found themselves in over the last 10 years and I replaced it with a fucking golden retriever, like,
Oh my God.
we'll be
Boy,
shutting that down.
look,
We'll have
like Michael Vick almost lost his life for fucking around with them damn dogs. He almost lost his life. And
And I'm gonna
like,
be real, like what's crazy is you remember last summer when all of this stuff was breaking out with my brother calls it the Black Life Summer when we were advocating for all of this and people taking to the streets in all these different cities. Like it took all of that for these companies and Facebook and all these social media networks to get on the bandwagon and say, let's advocate and let's surround these people and let's protect them and work on their cause. Like, I have a problem with that. We need to make it so, no, y'all ain't going to surround us.
they deny it. George Floyd was the reason they could not any longer deny what it really is.
But even with the George Floyd case, one of the things that we've been constantly seeing is like just today actually, they were talking about how the one who was it? Defense. They called a witness up there, and I think it was a police officer, and he was actually saying that it was not the police officer's Derrick Chauvin's force that caused the death of George Floyd. Now, this is after we've had every type of specialist look at the situation. We've had witnesses and everybody. You still have people who are not ready to acknowledge the truth. I'm sorry. Like, some people don't want to accept reality. And it's enough advocating for peace. It's enough advocating for civility, because you can't be civil when you're being killed and you're being exterminated. You cannot. And I'm just kind of over the whole thought process of it. Now, also, we haven't even talked about it, but in The Hill, they were talking about how Maxine Waters, she tweeted out, and most people don't know, follow her on Twitter, because Auntie Maxine be really making it plain for people on Twitter. But on her Twitter, she wrote, how could a trained officer make a mistake shooting an unarmed man with a gun instead of a taser? Hard to believe. And in the picture, she actually compared a Glock to the taser. And we all know, I mean, you don't got to own a gun to know how heavy a gun is. And you don't got to own a taser to know how a taser feels. Like, I feel like, I'm going to be real, like, in my experience of holding a taser, it's on par with a full water gun. You can tell the weight difference of a water gun to like a actual gun. And I feel her on this. What do you think?
I mean, it's the truth. You cannot accidentally grab your gun instead of a taser. They're two different and they're not on the same side. You're so used to grabbing your gun that one time you ended up killing somebody. Y'all are so quick to grab the deadliest weapon. So quick.
I mean, my thing is at this point, like, to wrap it up, like, my whole feelings on it, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's starting to give me PTSD. And so for all these people talking about self-care, like, bitch, you need Jesus. Like, I'm be real, like, you can't do it on your own no more. You need to turn to a substance or to a higher power. All the self-care crap. No, like I really feel like it's
You
starting to
need
get
all the help you can get. You most definitely you need Jesus and you need a therapist on deck because it's always something going on for the
I
last
feel
couple of
like
years.
CNN for the trauma that I'm facing of seeing it. And I don't even know where that was checking out. But something needs to be said. Like it's becoming all too normalized seeing somebody that looks like me, seeing somebody that looks like you being gunned down. And to be very, very honest, like I really, really feel in my heart that we're coming to a point where not only are younger people in generations of African Americans increasingly going to get tired of advocating under the system, but I think they should get tired of advocating for justice, for equality. At this point, I'm gonna be real. Like I almost want to say, just send my black ass back to Africa. Like, why?
I'm going. I don't know the fuck about you, but so soon I don't even got I'm gonna find me a hut to stay in. And get me a spear. I am not even playing. I wish a motherfucker would try to come drag me back to the United States. I'm gonna spear the shit out of them. I'm gonna harpoon. I'm gonna put a blow dart in their neck so serious. I'm gonna blow a
Like,
blow
I don't
dart
want to
in
be
their
ignorant.
fucking neck.
I don't want to be ignorant, but like, why are we here after all this time if we can't get justice? I don't. That
Because
is
they make
why
it
the
so
children
hard for
of
you to
Israel.
go back. They
That is
make
why.
it so hard for you to go back.
This
They
is why
cause a
the
big
Jewish people
uproar.
left Egypt. Like at some point, we got to ask ourselves, what do we can't? Like we can't get the jobs we want. We can't get the housing we want. Our healthcare is screwed. Coronavirus doesn't come, and the people trying to kill us with the Johnson and Johnson all over again. Like I tired. I'm just being real. Like it's tiring and it's exhausting just being black in America. And I'm asking myself, like, is it even worth it? Y'all keep trying to fight to uphold the status of this country and the leaders. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm like, I don't know if it would have been any worse if we were still English citizens. I don't even know if it would have been worse if my people never got on the boat. I don't want to be ignorant. Like I don't. The alternative I don't even know what it could have been, but at this point, it's exhausting seeing this all the time on TV. Um, Now, also, we didn't even touch on like any of these other killings and shootings and everything that we keep seeing on. It's everywhere right now.
It's everywhere. Like it's at an all time high. People are just losing their fucking marbles. It's it's a free for all. Like and then it's like a purge, but some of us don't even know that it's going on. Like if it's a purge, shit, let me know so I can join in and knock some people out. What the hell? What? Why is it just this situation? Like
I mean, there's so much that we haven't even begun to talk on with this. It's just a lot. And I know a lot of people on social media are asking themselves, like, was it justified? Was it not? I mean, I'm over these petty questions. The biggest question is,
who
under,
cares if it's justified at this
my,
point? No traffic stop is worth whether he had once or not. Is worth him losing his life. Whether he
my thing
resisted.
at this
Other
point,
people resist and they still live. Like, why is it that when the police get behind a black person, the chances are high that they might not make it out of that damn traffic stop, whether they resisted, complied, or whatever? Why is it that when black people run into the police, 90% of the chance is that person going to end up dead? Like that young man who got pulled over and was locked up 4 hours and he was dead. Like we're dying on the street, we're dying in our cars, we're dying beside our cars, we're dying outside of bodegas, stores, parks, we're dying in the jail. We're just dying from the police. Like we're dying. Like and nobody's doing anything about it.
I think at this point now, like I'm like we were saying, like I'm over asking and trying to figure out the petty stuff. I think the biggest question that we as African Americans need to be asking ourselves now is, under the system that we're advocating, do we see actual results coming from it? And I'm gonna be real, like I'm done with the criminal justice system as compared to as it entails crimes like this. Like I do not think that we're going to get justice. I mean, I'm gonna be real. 10 years. If you want to say, if you believe that what she did was all the way wrong, then you can't tell me 10 years is justified. Some little girl has lost her father. Some guy who is really in the prime of his life, he ain't even really old enough to understand. Like he hasn't even crossed the boundary of even thinking about life. Is dead. Like these are the things that we got to ask ourselves, and I don't believe that we're ready to really talk honestly about it because it is what it is. But on a closing note, like, what did you want to say in closing with this?
What are we gonna do about it?
I would like to ask everybody a question. Like, what do you guys think can be done about it? What do you want to see done about it? Do you think it's possible that you know?
Like I think that even every officer should have a body cam that they cannot turn off, not no sound or nothing. They can't pause it. Like it just has to be recorded, and the officers around them will be recorded. If they sit by and watch, I think somebody should be at a station watching the body cams and being able to say, Officer Cartwright, you know he's using too much force, stand down. I feel like some shit like that should be going on where they are monitored whenever they out on the streets. And then if the officers don't stand down, then the officer that's with him should be, they should come through their intercom or whatever and say, Officer Smith, step in and make Officer Cartwright stand down immediately. Take his gun, take his badge, and get him back to the station. Some shit like that. It may be unrealistic, but something needs to happen. Maybe they need babysitters for these police officers. Maybe that's what they need. They need to try something before they leave us with no choice. Because you can back a dog into a corner for so long until you come out biting.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, and again, I just posed that question to some of our viewers. Do you think the use of any force was justified in this situation? I think the overwhelming answer is going to be no. And so the consensus is no. And everyone knows it. But again, we got to go through a 10-month court case where this white woman is going to get to enjoy the freedoms and the privileges that life brings, while another black man lays dead. And, we're left to.
She's told every night by her husband or her wife, Peppermint Patty, that honey, you did the right thing. You were just doing your job.
I mean, and again, one of the things that we talked about earlier, you guys, was, a part of apparently what came out when I read the CNN article was the use of force in this type of situation as the fallout for after what happened. The protocol is for officers to turn off the body cams and to not speak to each other. So again, officers, they're trying to avoid the lawsuit and not trying to encourage transparency. And those are the things that I think we need to advocate against or for, if you care to fight within the criminal justice system at this point. But I'm gonna tell you this, like, I am truly dissuaded from believing that we will ever get equality out of the criminal justice system as African Americans. Not just criminal justice, but I'm gonna say all types of justices. Like we just, I'm just, it's exhausting, and I can see, and I remember this past week with Cheryl Underwood from Off of the Talk. She was talking about how she was experienced PTSD over a conversation that her and Sharon Osbourne had about racism, involving Meghan Markle and what was it? I don't even remember. Pierce Morgan. Right. The whole thing with that's crazy to me is like I'm starting to see how people who are saying they're experiencing like trauma from watching this stuff, like it is traumatizing. I would encourage people to turn the TV off. Like you don't need to see it. You know what happens. Like you can fill in the blanks. The only question left is: are you going to keep listening to this madness? Or are you going to look for a different solution? Um, to turn the tables, and that's kind of what I want to talk about tomorrow. Now it's one thing when the police is using their force against us. It's one thing, but on the other hand, it says something else when I want our leaders to begin to hold our community accountable for the things that we do to each other. I want to begin to see us as a community really advocate not just for justice, but life. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing that we're missing in this conversation. Like we are losing too many black lives to stupid shit. Like that's the real conversation. We're losing too many black people to stupid shit. So recently in Nashville, I read the Scoop Nashville. I don't care what nobody else. We turning tables. We're gonna keep everybody posted on this. But real quick, I wanted to point this out because we're gonna be talking about this tomorrow, Aisha. So get ready. I didn't even know if I showed you this yet, but craziest thing I saw online. Now I don't know if you knew, but a dude up here in North Nashville, he passed away recently, and they were holding his memorial service or whatever. What was crazy about all of this was like 3 people were shot, and it was a child that died within our own community. Ain't a white person in sight. This is a block from the police precinct, and there was no patrols being done on this. So let me just show this video. So it was a little 3-year-old girl that was shot in the crossfires of this. But I want to show a video of this because this enraged my blood more than this Derrick Chauvin, George Floyd situation or Dante Wright and Kim Porter situation that we're talking about. This kind of enraged me. So I'm gonna play this. Tell me what you think. Now this is coming from the Scoop Nashville. So can you see that? Hold up, hold up. I'm just enjoying your face right now, Aisha. So, with that being said, let me take that off. So, they said they had a memorial service. This is the ghetto coonery nigga shit that they actually had going on out there in the housing project after somebody died. What was crazy to me about it was A, it was only one person that died, but B, we as a population of people who say we're afraid of the police, things, how y'all got bazookas and stuff in projects and like, did you see them guns? That wasn't no little Glock. That dude had some
seen them at the last minute. I was like, wait a minute. Is that?
At first I said that can't be real. But see, like I'm saying, like we need to start advocating for our lives. Like it is not enough to have these stupid conversations about police brutality. We need to start fighting and advocating for our black skin. Even within our own communities, this shit is getting ridiculous. Like, how in the world did I just saw niggas carrying bazookas and stuff? Like, how How do you have these weapons? This is just surface level ignorance I'm talking right now. And the police pull you over and you are afraid, and then you want us to march for you. Nigga, if you don't
That
handle
right
your
there
business,
is ignorance at its finest. Because who are you at war with? Who are you protecting yourself from with that type of artillery? You should be standing front line because it seems like that you're trigger happy to
oh
fight
God.
against these police officers.
We are going to get to it. I saw that, like, I read the scoop. I read the scoop Nashville. I don't care what nobody say, but some niggatry deserves to be published and understood and read by the masses. And if it's a white man delivering it, I'm sorry. I'm going to listen to his news. It is what it is. I'll be very real. When I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind is the same leaders that are out here marching and then demanding justice at the hands of white brutality. We just had a 3-year-old girl that died attending a ritual for somebody that passed away, and Negroes walking around here in the housing projects with bazookas and machetes like this is Iraq and Baghdad or some type of madness. Like, this is, I think, as a community, we need to begin to have a conversation on what the hell we value, what is leadership, and how do we hold each other accountable for the stupid crap that we're doing. I'm gonna be real. The same way the FBI was investigating all these people at the Capitol building, was it the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations? They need to be investigating how the hell people in the housing projects got bazookas and artillery like this, because something ain't right. Something ain't right. Why is this at a vigil? Then also I'm seeing people wearing logos from actual aid agencies in Nashville in the video. I'm gonna get to that, and I'm gonna start calling names, because honestly, we need to start calling out bullcrap within our community, and we need to really start talking about it. Because white people can't take you serious when you turn around and you go shooting little 3-year-old girls, and y'all can't even hold a respectable funeral. You can't even respect the dead, like, but you want somebody to respect your living body. Like, there's something wrong with our damn community. There's something wrong. There's something wrong, and it's embarrassing. And honestly, like, I'm so sad to have heard about that from the little girl. But somebody to blast her daddy face and her mama face, and why the heck were you at a ghetto function like this? And it needs to be said just like that. It was ghetto from the start. I don't even need to see what all went on. You saw them black people. If you could get them to turn up to a voter rally like that, if you could get them to turn up to a church service like that, maybe we can get something accomplished. But hey, I don't want to sound like my mom. I'll hold that till tomorrow. What do you think?
I'm speechless on that. Like, I'm gonna hold my opinions about that till we talk about it. Because
Yeah,
this is this is ridiculous. All of this is getting ridiculous. It's overwhelming. It, to say the least, it's very overwhelming.
I mean, I just want to come in and talk about DMX. Y'all just want to shoot, but hey, we'll get to that tomorrow. Everybody, make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Join us tomorrow because we're gonna be talking about to this ghetto-ness that I saw in Nashville. We have night in North Nashville, and we really want to have a conversation on that because, again, we need to start holding ourselves accountable. We need to start holding leadership accountable, and we need to start, like, with trials like this, asking ourselves, like, why are we advocating under the legal system? I mean, maybe, and like Aisha said, it's what we need to do, but I don't want to say that on YouTube. You got anything to say?
I'm saving my comments for tomorrow because I'm gonna have that same energy about what is going on in our community as I do about us being hunted and killed by the police. Like, something's got to give. Like, this is beyond sad. Something has to give.
You know, Auntie Dionne Warwick said, "What the world?" I'm playing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm gonna need you to just stop it with the aunties. We're gonna cruise with Auntie Maxine for a little bit and
What?
leave uh, our psychic friend of the stars where she's been at.
Listen, hey, we don't got no time for you tonight. We'll get to it tomorrow. Peace out. Peace
R.I.P. Auntie Riri.
out. Don't make no. Bye. Bye.